Hey guys, welcome to my summary of the Final Fantasy XIV's Patch 7.2 live letter. I'm calling this the content drop of the century, and given the current state of the game, exactly in the right direction for what we need. They even dropped hints of Patch 7.3 content, which is going to include a deep dungeon, something previously not announced, or at least to the best of my knowledge. You might need to check me on that. Another curveball that came with 7.2 is now we're going to be able to mount our chocobo while moving. Other deep system changes that we didn't expect was now we can queue potions and food as well as sprint, which is going to radically help fluidity through combat because sprint is pretty ubiquitous through the game. Holy crap, this was insanely difficult to condense down. I'm gonna include footage alongside anything that they said verbally that was of note, as well as the slides. I'm gonna be real. This was a challenge. There's a lot coming. Patch 7.2 is going to be launching on March 25th, 2025. As with every mainline patch, we're going to be getting brand new main story questline, which will be tied to the new Underkeep dungeon and then the Recollection trial, as well as its extreme version. Interesting to note is that during the presentation, the developers verbally stated that they weren't sure how quick strategies would form for Recollection Extreme because of how unique the fight is. No mechanics were shown, but here's hoping. We're going to be getting the brand new Unreal trial, Suzaku Unreal. Ding dong, the bitch is dead. PICTOMANCER is finally being nerfed. In all seriousness, the developers did state that they had a very hard time trying to not nerf PICTOMANCER and did want to avoid it, but it kind of came down to them having to nerf it. Extremely worth noting is that the developers verbally said that melee DPS will be getting buffed. However, the monkey paw is curling, and you're going to probably have a much more difficult time maintaining uptime, and that's why they justified that damage buff. On that note, let's pivot to Savage, which will be launching 1 week after Patch 7.2's release. They showcased Greninja, the first floor of this tier. The developers said that it's usually just enough to pass a mechanic, but they may have incorporated a perfect bonus if everyone performs the mechanic correctly. They also noted that they're exploring new different mechanics in these series, which has me personally very excited. They then showcased the armor rewards from this tier on the screen. I'm already weeping that Rothgar can probably not use the healer hat. Oh my god. But holy shit, the tank set and melee DPS sets are so cool. God dang it. I'm actually going to need to collect these for sure. They're actually spectacular. These are gorgeous. In addition, they showed the Tomestone gear. It's definitely Final Fantasy IX inspired. Before we move into my absolute hype content, if you like this video and this video helped you out, I would super appreciate if you dropped the entire tank raid set on that like button and cat daddy that subscribe button. Now to the content that gets me the most excited, the new exploration zone, the Occult Crescent. Requirements to enter are to complete the DAWNTRAIL main story questline, then you need just one combat job at level 100. To enter Occult Crescent, you're going to be talking to a specific character to be let in, similar to Eureka and Boja. The content has split instances where there's going to be a max of 72 players in there, and that you can queue into the same instance as your friends if you go in as a pre-made party. Inside the Occult Crescent, there is a knowledge level, which is going to be separate from your main character levels. Knowledge level drastically changes your combat effectiveness against enemies in the instance. As in, if your knowledge level is significantly below a monster's, that monster is going to hit you much harder and you're going to hit it much weaker. However, the devs did mention that if your knowledge level is below a monster's knowledge level, you will gain greater rewards for pursuing the higher challenge of knocking out that monster. EXP chains, or experience chains, are going to be a system that builds on this system and this idea. Defeating high-level enemies back-to-back quickly will give you an EXP chain boosting your rewards. This is indicated by this chain-looking symbol here. In Occult Crescent, there's a feature called the Knowledge Level Sync, which is a feature that's restricting something such as power leveling through EXP chains, where you can only use EXP chains if the group is within 3 knowledge levels of one another. So what you have as an option to play with friends is to sync the party knowledge level and become what they're going to be calling the balanced party, a group within 3 knowledge levels of one another. Explicitly after level 5, and so not at or below level 5, you will lose experience points when you're not revived by another player and you release yourself in that instance. If you lose enough experience points, you can in fact lose levels, hence why I already popped a totem on Red Mage, because oh baby, if there has been one thing proven in Eureka and Boja is that Red Mage gets some massive mileage. And trust me, I already put my Futures Rerun totem where my mouth is, and I got the Red Mage weapon weeks ago. Now onto support jobs, which is a system in Occult Crescent, and there's going to be a total of 12 different support jobs, you will initially only have Freelancer, but your first quest will unlock 3 more, and then the rest through further exploration and progression. How the support job model works is that you first unlock the job, then you equip the job, then you level up that job. Leveling up that job is going to unlock special actions and passives associated with that support job. The developers provided 2 ways to really equip and use the active skills. The first one is just putting it on your hotbar exactly as you would any other skill. Alternatively, they added a new skill wheel. The devs did state that yeah, some of these skills totally do allow you to buff up and impact the entire party. They expect a wide variety of use cases. In particular, Yoshi P was showcasing him on Black Mage with a Time Mage support job, and then you could see, and I'm presuming that they work like this. I do not have confirmation, but we obviously saw what is like a comet raining down damage spell, and then we also had a spell that looked like a slow on the monster. The debuff icon appeared on the screen, and then we have another one that I'm presuming is like a magic vulnerability, magic break, some kind of other debuff related to it. Activities in Occult Crescent include things like fates, which you can join or leave at any time, just like any other fate in the game. They then showcased a critical encounter where you basically stand in a blue circle and wait for it to pop and join. You can form parties here ahead of time. That's something that they recommended. When it pops, you will then be in a walled off instance with the monster. There are no limits to how many players may enter. Next up is the capstone of the Occult Crescent content, and it's called Forked Tower, where Fort Tower is going to be a dungeon where up to 48 players can go inside. And in order to get in, you need to use a special key item called ciphers. When 16 or more players are forking with their ciphers, this special location, to activate the dungeon, then a node will activate and teleport them into the Forking Tower dungeon. Worth noting is that you don't need to use a cipher in order to join the forking fun. However, there is a 48 player limit, and using a cipher will give you a higher chance to be selected in that 48 player limit. So you can join even without a cipher. Not necessarily a bring your own drink kind of thing, I suppose. Also worth noting is that you don't need to actually completely finish the Occult Crescent story to enter this, surprisingly. They did state that you can, as soon as you enter the Occult Crescent, attempt to unlock all the Aetherites as well, but that might be quite difficult, so there is no real artificial wall with how far you can take this content. I actually think that's kind of a healthy game design decision. I actually think that's really great. Can we apply this just across, like, dungeons? No more walls in dungeons, like, just let us go mad with wall to wall. Forked Tower Dungeon, however, has a very special limitation in that only a few support jobs can actually raise in the dungeon. And no, by support jobs, they mean the system, like Time Mage and what have you. However, this is very unique to like exploration content, because specifically in Boja Eureka, you could kind of just spam revives whenever you wanted, and so this is going to really limit the ability for Resume just to flat out blast through the dungeon spamming revives. In terms of the difficulty of Forked Tower, the devs did state very explicitly that they expect progression of this to take some time, and first clearers to have some incredibly serious discussions about the mechanics of Forked Tower inside. This is, in other words, non-trivial content. They also did make note that there are many rooms in the Forked Tower, so reaching back to something like Castrum Lacus Litore, there was areas in Castrum where you really had to think about how to optimize your rewards and save as many people as possible, and so them making a direct reference to many rooms in the Forked Tower, I'm really kind of hoping the devs really played on that, because that was actually a really interesting set of mechanics. Other Occult Crescent features include the Treasure in the Wild, and I bet, I really do bet you some of these are mimics. Just saying it ahead of time, some of these are going to be mimics, aren't they? But there are rewards in these Treasures in the Wild. These link to a magic pot, which is going to be, if you rescue them, the magic pot, from a monster, and then you give them an elixir, they will give you a hint of a treasure location. Currencies for the Occult Crescent are split between silver and gold pieces. Silver pieces are obtained through fates and critical encounters, where gold are just from defeating monsters in the wild. Which, I didn't say an error there, that's actually on their slide, that's actually what they said, and this is interesting because that's kind of flipping the standard formula on its head, so we're going to need to really evaluate the rewards. So, the better currency is from random monster chaining, the gold one. Really? I have so many questions right now. This is going to gently segue into the DAWNTRAIL Relic weapon line, which they did not have any slides on. They specifically said that. And they did note, however, that in Occult Crescent, when you pass a certain point, they didn't specify where, they are going to unlock separate Relic weapon questline. They then went into the schedule of Occult Crescent's release pipeline, which is going to start with patch 7.25 being Occult Crescent releases. Makes me a bit sad, but gives me a bit of time for sadness. Patch 7.3 will not be getting an Occult Crescent update because we are getting a new deep dungeon. Patch 7.4 will increase the number of phantom jobs, and I'm wondering, is this where we get Necromancer or a hint for the new job for the 8.0 expansion? Coping. Patch 7.5 will then give us a new area as well as even more new phantom jobs. They then showcase Glamours that you can obtain inside the content that they stated will offer special in Occult Crescent reward stats. Now I'm going to keep it remarkably brief here because a lot of people are probably going to be like, why didn't they release all the phantom jobs? My brain is thinking that during the media tour they made it incredibly clear that 8.0 is going to be the job identity rework, and that is something that a lot of us have been asking for, especially me because I play Scholar and oh my god, I'm so sick of the broil button. So I find this an incredibly fascinating system because I think that they may be delaying some of these in order to test out even new features in this exploration content to see what may stick for 8.0. So I really do think that this system is very interesting. I really am keeping my thoughts brief here, but that's the gist of it. Now let's talk about Cosmic Exploration. Like I said, this is really fucking hard to condense down, guys. I'm really trying. The only requirement to actually participate in Cosmic Exploration is to complete Endwalker. Yes, Endwalker, not DAWNTRAIL. Then you can access this Cosmic Exploration content with level 10 or above Gatherer or Crafters. Also, yes, thank God there is a separate inventory for Cosmic Exploration. Trust me, this is actually very important to me, and thank goodness they didn't overlook this detail. Currencies for Cosmic Exploration are going to be earned from missions. They really come in two varieties. First up is Cosmo Credits, which you can exchange for rewards like a general currency, and then second up is Lunar Credits that are used to purchase what is called Cosmic Fortunes, which is an RNG mechanic featuring a spin the wheel system to get rewards, and as you can see from the footage there are going to be some mechanics even within the spin the wheel system, such as enhancing the wheel for even better chances. I'm going to be calling this the Heavenly Loporitz wheel. Alternatively, you can utilize those Cosmo credits in order to join Mech Ops Events as a mech pilot. Let's talk about that, since that is actually super cool to me. Mech Ops Events are large-scale operations with players that are either in a mech or on the ground. Outside of the mech, they're going to be coordinating to remove obstacles and gather minerals. So if you want to pilot a mech, you need to actually exchange those lunar credits for a chance to be selected. A maximum of 5 mechs are allowed. There are no limits on ground support. Mom said it's my turn to be in the mech. I cannot wait for the juicy Cosmic Exploration drama. There's going to be some really fucked up shit that we see from that. Alternatively, I do need to posit the question here is, will people even want to spend lunar credits when they could just use it for more Loporitz wheel rewards? I really want to see what the difference in rewards is when you're in the mech versus out of it, because either it's going to be totally, hey, no one really wants to pilot it, or everyone wants to fight it, and oh my god, the children are fighting and shout chat, holy shit. What do you mean Becky is a bitch? Oh shit. Did you know that Becky went to the club, that ERP club, and did you know that her mods weren't working, and that she was only a D cup? Not a double Z cup. Ugh, scandal. Bring on the drama. I love it. There are going to be standard missions like what I have had playing on the screen at one point. Standard gatherings just to finish the mission. If you've ever gathered in this game, you probably know the gist of it. Then there are also going to be critical missions that activate that must be completed by a larger group of players in a limited time period. There's a new system that's going to cause even more drama, which is called the Star Contributor Reward, which basically it is a leaderboard system that really rewards the people that have quote-unquote contributed the most to Cosmic Exploration. This is going to be tallied every other day with a rest day between, and you can check progress talking to Scanning Way, which is going to be a poor innocent Loporit that is in way over his head for the Mod Beasts drama. There are a few rewards for being a Star Contributor. First of all, a hologram of me in Type 2B leggings will be projected to bless your eyes. The second one is it will display your name on a bulletin board. The third thing is you're going to be gaining a special visual effect while exploring the stars so that you too can be a hall monitor. You can click this off if you dislike it. There are limitations to the system though. Like, I need to know, will mods, like the mod beasts, actually have their mods projected on the hologram? And you think I'm joking, I actually need to see what kind of nightmares people come up with. The Twitter posts are gonna be fucking hilarious. But an actual limitation is that you cannot get the Star Contributor effect again for 14 days after having it, so you can't just totally dominate the boards non-stop, even though I'm sure Becky would love to. Worth noting is that in the background of all of this drama, you are actually advancing the entire Cosmic Exploration Zone on your own world. The worlds are going to be separated for this content. You can only do exploration and survey a star on your home world, hence Star Contributors are also only selected by world. Thank God, keep the Baldesions away from being the Cactars and Midgard surveyors and all. Oh my god, we have enough drama on Gilgamesh, honey. As for the content release schedule of Cosmic Exploration is that each patch you're going to be exploring and bringing up a completely new planet. First off is the moon, with 4 more planets that we're going to be exploring. Crafter Gatherer Relic weapons are going to be available immediately upon Cosmic Exploration's launch date. Very, very important to note here is that you don't even need the Cosmic Exploration tool equipped. You can enhance the Cosmic tool and increase the item level in your bag just doing missions. For PvP, there are going to be new role actions added that you can choose one of 3 options. For melee DPS, you can see their full menu in the options, and then they give other skill examples for other roles. Rampage, AoE increasing the damage taken by enemies. Stone Skin applies a barrier to self and all party members. Swift increases movement speed for yourself and makes you immune to most crowd control effects. Dervish for physical range is going to give you and the party, all of you, reduced global cooldown, and then a movement speed boost. And Magical DPS deals AoE damage, but has a cast time that you cannot actually cancel out of. I'm sure seeing Dervish that all of the melee DPS who played back in the day like me are so glad that TP is gone, because I remember playing Astro and one of the funnest things to do was to give the ninja you know what I'm talking about. If you know, you know. The Frontline Map Borderlands Ruins has been significantly revamped. There's going to be up to 72 players, each in 3 teams of 24 players. The end goal is to get the highest score called Tactical Rating. Tactical Rating can be improved by occupying any of the 9 locations, defeating elegant weaponry, or defeating enemy players. For some locations, they're going to be called key locations and grant a sheer will buff, massively increasing the damage dealt by all players of all teams in that area. Elegant weaponry periodically will spawn at the center of the map for you to defeat. There's going to be teleporters that they added to get you to the center of map from the spawn, and then an additional thing that they showcased was the ability to mount while moving here. However, that has been shown to be a general player feature. Let's talk about additional quality of life features, during which I'm going to have on the screen a bunch of glamours and mounts that they showed. But I know that at the end of the video people are like, glamours, and then they get covered up by the end screen, so here you go. Your chance to see the glamours. You can now queue up food, potions, and sprint in combat. The skills are now going to properly queue. That is fantastic. Next up is that when sprint runs out and that you are in like a city or any kind of like sanctuary or something like that, you're going to be in a new state called jogging once the sprint wears out. An additional thing that they showcased was the ability to mount while moving. Yes, this is going to be outside of PvP maps. There was footage of it happening at Occult Crescent. And if you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much, and I would super appreciate if you dropped that freaking amazing raid glamour. I like the tank set. Not so sold on the healer set, but drop that tank set on that like button. I would super appreciate it, and can't die that subscribe button.